welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shellady, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for tuning us in here this morning. It's getting closer and closer to that Christmas time period, so we're seeing these markets kind of slow down a little bit on us, but there's still some movement we can talk about. We've got some PPI figures here this morning, which are inflation figures. We'll talk about those a little bit later, too. Let's go right into these prices and see what's happening out there right now. Let's take a look at that corn table, and corn is, we moved some corn. We got above 450 in March, right? I think some bushels moved up there. That 200-day moving average around 452, with giving up the ghost here. So we're off a nickel, and up front March is at 443 and a quarter, just one tick off the low of the day. We've had a 5-cent range. May's down 4 3/4 cents to 450 and 3/4. How about beans? What are beans doing? Well, the weather's still good down in South America. Jan's down 3.5 cents to 9.92. March is down 3.5 cents to 9.99 and a quarter. We lost a 10 handle there, and we're only a penny and a half off the low of the day. And May is fighting to keep its 10 handle, 10.09 and a half last, and we're about what? That's going to be 3/4 of a cent off the low of the day. That's 3.5 cents lower there. So we're 3 1/4 to 3 3/4 cents lower across the board when it comes to beans. Let's go to the wheat in Chicago. Chicago wheat's down 6 cents in March. 5.57 and a quarter's last. That's on the low of the day. May's down 5 3/4 cents to 5.67. That's a half cent off the low there. Hard red, Kansas City, 5.5 cents lower in March. 5.61 and 3/4 is last, is to quarter cent off the low there. We got a 5.5 cent worst board in May. We've sold off there as well to 5.69 and a quarter. We're basically off anywhere between 5.5 to 5 3/4 cents across the board when we talk about the hard red in Kansas City. Everything kind of taking a little bit of a step back here, losing a little bit of real estate on the off. How about we take a look at spring wheat? That too is lower, but not as much. 2.5 cents lower in the March. 6.04 and a half last, but that's a penny off the low. 4.5 cents off the high. May's down 3 cents to a 6.11 and 3/4. Let's move out to see what the cotton's got for us. Cotton, well, that's up 9 points. Boy, oh boy, it's bucking the trend. 70.24 is last, hanging on to that 70 line. We did get through it earlier today, but we're back above it. 9 points better on the day. March cotton, 70.24. Let's bring in our next guest analyst, Peter Haralambakis. He's with CHS up in River Grove Heights, Minnesota, and it might be a little chilly up there today, I think, if I'm correct looking at that map.
Oh boy, yeah, those I mean, not too many folks mentioning polar vortex, but it certainly feels like one of those across the Twin Cities, let alone some of the upper echelon of the nation, right? So it's cold. I think it was -9 degrees this morning, real temp. So you can calculate the wind chill from there. But aside from that, a lot of these prices are ice cold as well. Even though it's kind of a sea of red out there, like you just mentioned. I think it all stemmed from some of those export sales that we saw today. Exports for 2025 marketing year corn, 946 and change metric tons, fell out of the range of the 1.1 to 1.9. Disappointing, fell well below, I guess, the expectations there. And that was the lowest total of the 11 weeks there. Soybean sales also missed expectations this week. This is the low estimate total of the marketing year as well. The drop off for this week's total is dramatic, as it is only half of last week's total there. There was a large cancellation due to unknown product, which brought down this week's total overall. Wheat sales were barely above the low end of expectations as well. This was also the lowest total for the past 11 weeks. So you're seeing the theme here, right? So export sales lower, even though the WASDE report had shifted those corn ending stocks by 200 million. That bump in the action that we saw midweek here is slowly fading. And is kind of along the themes of what we've witnessed over the past 5 or 6 rallies, either hinging on weather or any variances in some reports. We don't necessarily rally beyond 18 cents when there is some of those bullish kind of moves to the upside. We are and reached a 16-cent move, 16.5 cent move in the corn for D's 25, that is. So again, we're kind of on pace with some of these rally fizzle outs, and that export sales today certainly kind of threw it into the mix as well.
Yes, and it doesn't help that we're getting to that time of the year too. So a lot of things here are going to make it, we'll probably struggle now going forward. And the only other thing I guess we're going to have to wait for is, not wait for, but we'll keep our eye on the South American weather, as well as, waiting for that next Jan WASDE report. We're going to have to wish our lives away once again.
Yeah, Santa Claus rally comes in many forms, but don't get too excited when we're talking about the grains here.
All right.
So
Well, you have
hold
a great rest of your day. Thank you very much for
happy
coming on, Peter.
holidays.
Peter
All right,
Haralambakis coming to us
appreciate it.
from CHS in Grove Heights, Minnesota, where he says it's kind of chilly. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more livestock with me right after this.